I got another one, guys. Ken Garff here in West Valley texted me, says, hey, we have a Marsh Gray F450 if you want to film it. And I said, absolutely, why not? Haven't done one. So that's why we're doing the video. And I figured, you know, let's just go ahead and talk about maintenance on your F450. How can you get this truck to go 1,000,000 miles? We'll answer that question here in a second. Now, if you are in the market, they do have 2 of these trucks. Now, they're saying they're gonna black out one of them. So this one obviously has the satin. You can get blackout with Platinum Plus. I think they're gonna black out all the trimming and the wheels. So let me know what you guys think about Marsh Gray with a blackout. Let's go ahead and check out the window sticker. If you would like to buy this truck, Ken's number is down below. He can take care of you. And yeah, let's go ahead and check out that window sticker now. Now at the very top is the description. You guys see the colors? Smoked truffle leather. And then this is a short listing of the standard features. Now here are all the options. Marsh Gray is actually a $4.95 ad. High output comes a part of the Platinum Plus package. This one also has a 5th wheel hitch. Rapid heat, engine block heater, wheel well liners, and then this does have the security code keyless keypad for $455. Base price comes in at $95,335. Destination is $25.95 for a total price of $112,085. Now, some of you may or may not know this, but Marsh Gray actually replaced darkened bronze. And if you were looking at getting a 2-tone like on the King Ranch, this is the color that would be a part of that 2-tone, whether you got black, red, or whatever color is available for the 2-tone. What are your guys' thoughts? I did like the darkened bronze. This is definitely a unique color. Now, I did not like the darkened bronze in 2-tone, but on the F150s, I saw King Ranch, and I did like this color a lot better. This is definitely a bronze color, a little bit of brown in there too. And let's see, does it have any metallic flake? I don't see any metallic flake in this paint, which is why I was a little shocked that Ford actually charged a little bit more for it. But overall, it does have a nice look with the satin trimming on the front end, and I think this color will look good with a blackout as well. Now with this Platinum, you do get the projector headlights. Also, painted bumpers come standard, and Platinum Plus does add the satin finishing around the fog lights here. Black recovery hooks, and obviously the reason why you get a F450 is to get those 10 lug wheels, 19.5-inch wheels, and you get the wide front track on the front, larger brakes in the rear, so you get a lot of nice goodies with this truck. Now here's a side view of it. I wanted to show it to you in the shade as well. So right here is the shade. The sun ain't working with me today, guys, unfortunately, but you can really see how dark the color gets. It almost looks gray. Let me see if I can get it at an angle here. That should help us a little bit. Yeah, it looks a little bit darker on camera, but I like the shade of it if it was a little bit darker. And let's see if out back it's a little bit better, because that sun is so bright today. There we go. I think that's perfect. So on the tailgate, you can see how much darker it is. That's actually the exact color. So at nighttime, it probably looks gray for sure. You guys see the mud flaps and high output power stroke badge there. You also have the power to pull up running boards too. And more satin trimming. There is a satin package coming for the F150s. I'm wondering if it's going to make all this trimming satin too, because this is just chrome. Now you have to pay for this guy, but they did bring it back because a lot of people complained. You have your steps, 48-gallon fuel tank. The only thing this truck is probably missing that I would probably want, not a big deal, is the FX4, so you can get that skid plate for that 48-gallon fuel tank, and they give you a skid plate also for that transfer case there, and you get downhill assist, which is not a big deal. You can see the leaf pack right there. Also, you guys see the Steely with the aluminum. And in case you forgot, 225/70, 19.5. And these are 14 ply tires, G-rated, 3,970 pounds for single, 3,750 for dual, 110 PSI max, but Ford doesn't do that to you. They obviously know that at 110 PSI that would just be unbearable for this type of truck. More of that satin finishing out back, parking sensors. You get the 3-inch receiver hitch, still class 5. Platinum Plus gives you LED tail lights and license plate lights. Don't forget your lock now. They do make that an option, although I don't know, maybe not really worth it for this truck because they only give you a Steely 430 rear, and it does give you the cooling on that diff and power. And then there's your 35,000 pound fifth wheel hitch. Now I would get in here, but I don't like the walk-on paint, so we'll just show everything from here. You have your 7 and then 12-way plug, bed lights, cameras up top there, and you have your Pro Power also. I love this. You have that power tailgate for us lazy people. I'm almost 40 years old, so that comes in handy. And then right there, is that dual jaws? I'm pretty sure it has dual jaws too. And then up top there is your twin panel clearance lights. You can see that camera a little bit better right there. And are you guys ready to discuss this power stroke? Let's talk about it. So let's talk about ways we can get this power stroke diesel to 1,000,000 miles. Now here's what I want to tell you guys. I like independent shops, especially those who do a lot of work on diesel engines. So one thing I'll tell you is this: the dealerships have some of the best techs for these trucks. They work on these every single day, and there's nothing wrong with going to the dealer or going to an independent shop, so long as they have a really good experience with diesel engines. So the first thing I would tell you right out of the gate is this: understand and know who's working on your truck. I think that every tech is going to be a little different, and for me personally, I like the same guy touching my trucks. And believe it or not, this is probably the most important factor, because when people know whose truck they're working on, they tend to do a better job. Now, this is a small piece to that puzzle. The other part of this is obviously the oil that you choose to use. I would say stick with a good oil. Understand if that oil is actually doing the job it's supposed to be doing. Ford obviously has their recommendations, and sometimes their recommendations aren't the best. But if you do plan on running a different oil, obviously make sure the oil viscosity is within Ford's range. Does the PowerStroke use 15W40 or 10W30? Now sometimes you can just walk up to the truck and look at the cap, right? Some people might still think diesel engines use 15W40, and if you run that 15W40, just know this: the tolerances in these engines are not the same. So no, you have to run either a 10W30 or a 5W40, which is for the colder climates. You also need to understand the specifications for like things like the API to make sure that the engine oil exceeds those ratings as well. Now most of you guys know that I decided to run an oil bypass on my truck simply because I want to get the most out of my diesel. Now Insane Diesel had a Ford F450 engine at their shop, and that engine had around 900,000 miles on it before it went kaboom. Now one thing I'll tell you is this: if you've ever checked your oil at about a couple hundred miles, you'll understand why it makes sense to run a bypass. Because of the EGR, throwing junk back in your engine, it makes sense to have a second line of defense. And one thing I like about Insane Diesel, their Lorenzo oil was engineered to filter through that bypass, because their oil bypass system filters down to like 1 micron. And that's possible using a 3-stage filtration process with their filter. Sorry for the pauses. I have to pause obviously for these loud airplanes. So as I said earlier, understand the guy, girl working on your truck. I would say go meet them. You know, give them a face to your truck basically, so that way they are doing the best job they can possible, making sure all that oil comes out of the truck and making sure that they actually heat up the truck too for you, right? Once you drop your truck off, if it's been sitting for 2-3 hours, that engine oil has to heat back up before they drain it out. And these are just some things you have to understand about these trucks. They're not as good as they used to be simply because of the emissions control system. So there are things you have to do extra to get these things to that 1,000,000-mile mark. Now the last thing we're going to talk about to get this engine to 1,000,000 miles is your fuel. One thing I'll tell you is this: if you don't know the cetane rating of the fuel you're putting in your truck, that's a problem. So most places are going to at least be minimum 40 cetane. There are some fuel stations that are top tier, like I go to Costco and they actually show that they're top tier. Now they don't have a high cetane rating, which I wish they did, so I do run a fuel additive. Now Ford does say to run their fuel additive, but if you have to run a fuel additive outside of Ford, just make sure it doesn't have alcohol in it, they say. And obviously you want one that's going to actually raise that cetane number. So I do use Insane Diesel's fuel additive for my truck. Now I will say I'm still on the fence because it is expensive. I'll be honest with you guys, it's not cheap, but it is good stuff. I like to pour it out like on a napkin and compare with others. I mean, I'm just a little weird. I just enjoy doing these things because I want to get the most out of my truck. And because my truck is weight loss programmed, I want to make sure I don't have to worry about my powertrain for at least the next couple years, because after that I'll be out of warranty and it won't matter. So regardless of what you think about all these steps, it is necessary to understand the engine oil and the fuel you're putting in your truck to make sure you're getting the most out of it. Because I'm willing to bet you a lot of you guys out there who are having problems, you're getting your fuel from a place that doesn't turn diesel fuel fast enough. So now your fuel is old, you know. And if you're someone that just lets your truck sit for long periods of time and that diesel gets old, how's that going to affect the oil in your truck because of fuel dilution? So if you're someone that does a lot of idling, stop and go traffic, yes, you could potentially have an issue with your engine oil because of fuel dilution. So these are things you have to keep in mind as well. So I would venture to say running a high cetane fuel or running an additive to keep that fuel cetane as high as possible, because obviously if it has a high cetane, it's going to have a better burn, which is going to help with your fuel economy too. So that's pretty much all I wanted to discuss in this video. Stay tuned. As I said, I did switch to a non-petroleum based engine oil, and I'll discuss that in the future. I won't take too much more time. You guys have seen a lot of my videos on these trucks, so I'll just show it really quickly here. This is your smoked truffle interior, absolutely beautiful. You have real leather, real wood. You have the suede on the roof, A and B pillars, max reclined seats, two-tone leather with the diamond stitch, power steering column. You have the 12-inch screens on the dash, also power pedals, and they do actually illuminate that platinum badge right here. Oh yeah, real quickly, they do leather wrap this too, and I always point this out because it's worth noting. Wide seat cushions, great bolstering, tilt headrest, great design on that center console. You have that wood in the center here with the leather. You have some satin, more wood, and you guys know that they took away that soft close that they had for years and years and years. Wireless charger, USBs, more wood trimming on this side, and you guys know the seats do have the massage function. If you push that button, it does turn them on. Out back here, more diamond stitch leather, and they did run to the black speaker grills for Platinum Plus. You don't get that on the regular Platinum. The only negative thing back here is no ventilated seats, and you guys saw how expensive this truck was. That's my only beef with Ford on this truck. Platinum Plus should have ventilated seats, seat back pockets, and you guys know that you have the storage below the seat here, right there. Last thing we'll do is discuss payload. So here are the numbers for the axles. So up front, 6,000 pound axle rating, rear is 9,900 pounds, 14,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating, and wheels are 19.5 by 6. Axle code is a 4L, so that's gonna be a limited slip rear. What am I doing? Payload's right here, 4,677 pounds, and then 90 psi out front, 80 in the rear. Payload is probably low because that is taking into account that fifth wheel hitch. So I hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to check out Ken Garff's website here in West Valley. They have 2 of these trucks. Actually, the other one is right over there, and they're pretty much identical, guys. So if you would like to buy this truck, if you like the color, they're available, ready to go. And ask for Ken and see what he can do for you. See you guys in the next video.